Hello, Dr. Rama Rao.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. Can you hear me now?
I can see you. I can hear you.
Good.
So we
Okay, we can go ahead in that case.
are seeing more often on such things.
Chandra now?
Sir, I can see you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining, sir.
Good.
Yeah, friends, I think now that our Foundation Day Chief Guest has joined the call, let us go with the proceedings. All of us are new to this kind of having events, and if any technical problems are there, please excuse our technical team. They are doing our best to make sure that things go well. And look like this is the near norm to all of us. Friends, good afternoon and welcome to the 79th Foundation Day of the CSIR. And all of us are aware that CSIR was constituted in 1942. And then since then, in the service of the nation, we have been doing our best. Today, we all heard the Honorable Minister's address to all of us in the morning, and he has all the praise for all the colleagues. And in the opening remarks, he did mention that while lockdown affected many sectors, but CSIR is the organization which has worked with more commitment during the lockdown and make sure that we could do in a small way whatever we could mitigate the COVID. I'm delighted that today we have with us Dr. Rama Rao, who does not require an introduction, former director of IICT, a well-wisher, mentor, and of course, one of the rare academicians who went on to become an entrepreneur and became a role model to many of us. Welcome, sir, for this important meeting. I also would like to invite Dr. J.S. Yadav, our former director, again, who has taken a new hand now as administrative head of a new university, who has built a brand. Already, this university is able to bring a name, and many of our colleagues are able to take advantage of Dr. Yadav's excellence in academics at the university front also. Welcome, sir. Again, all the colleagues and family members of CSIR. I'm very happy to welcome all of you on this important Foundation Day. We all know that Foundation Day is a big event for CSIR, and we always felicitate our colleagues who competed. To do those physical meetings, but I hope very soon this pandemic will go away and we will meet in person to greet each other. Today we have many colleagues who have served this organization for 25 years. We will felicitate them at some point of time. Of course, a virtual felicitation, and we all know that whenever we complete 25 years of service, we get a nice Titan watch. Sometimes we opt this watch for our spouse and sometimes we take for ourselves. So we'll make sure that the felicitations are delivered at home. And also, of course, we felicitate the colleagues who are superannuated this year. As per the Government of India new norms, one, of course, we are not supposed to have physical meetings, but also to refrain from ourselves in distributing the cash awards and certificates and mementos in person. So we are also differing. We all know that many colleagues of the institute look for 26 September. That which department has got the highest external cash flow award, or the department which has got the highest publications and all that. So those things we will differ and we will do at a later time. With these few welcome remarks, I request Chandrasekhar, our senior principal scientist and also chair of Department of Knowledge Information Management, to conduct the proceedings. But also, sir, Dr. Rama Rao, sir, on as you could not come to IICT while you come every day for a morning walk, but unfortunately now that we are all in isolation, we have planted on your name one plant which was shown in the opening slide. And when you come next time to our campus, you could water it. Till then, we will make sure that this plant grows, sir. With these remarks, I request Chandrasekhar to go ahead and conduct the proceedings. Chandrasekhar, over to you.
Now I request Dr. N.V. Satyanarayana Garu, Chief Scientist, to introduce the chief guest.
Thank you. Well, you know, Dr. Chandrasekhar has just said that this type of meetings are very new to us. And the numerous occasions, and especially in the recent past, that when you cursed these online chats and webinars, especially, you know, when you wish to be amongst the crowd to cheer the legends as they rise to share their experiences and their wisdom. Today, unfortunately, is one such occasion, no doubt. But then if you look at the flip side of it, such online chats, sometimes, you know, they come to your rescue, especially when you realize that you need to introduce a towering personality like Dr. Rama Rao in his very own den. Okay? So this is one such rare occasion when a virtual meeting becomes the savior for someone, you know, who's introducing someone like, you know, Dr. Rama Rao. Okay? Imagine the embarrassment when cold stares greet you in a packed auditorium. Okay? If those angry stares have a language, they tell me, hey, who's this lamb introducing a mighty lion in his own den? Okay. Fortunately, as I said earlier, I've been saved of this embarrassment. Okay. Dr. Chandrasekhar, Dr. Rama Rao Garu, Dr. Yadav sir, who was my director when I joined, and maybe there were other former colleagues. A warm greetings to you all on CSIR Foundation Day. Okay. So continuing from what I've said, when you're faced with this ordeal of introducing a legend, you usually start with the cliche. Okay. The cliche goes, Dr. Rama Rao does not need any introduction, blah, 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 and so on. So I don't make any exception today. So I also start with the same words. Dr. Rama Rao does not need any introduction, as everyone in the audience treasure many fond interactions with him. This reminds me of a couple of slokas, or Padyamulu as they call it in Telugu, from Potana Bhagavatam, where, you know, the Prahlada was introducing Lord Narayana to the world. Okay? I'll recite, you know, few lines from two such slokas. The first one goes, Yavvaniche janiyunchu jagamevari lopala nundu leenamai, and then it continues. The second one is, Endendu vedakina andande kaladu. Okay? So what it actually says is, here is a world where everything belongs to this person, that's Lord Narayana. So here in this case, let me interpret as Dr. Rama Rao. And if you want to look around and then see where he is, you don't have to look around much. Everywhere, every brick, every stone, every lab, every leaf, every tree has a signature of Dr. Rama Rao. Sometimes, you know, I always envy the leaves, the trees, the gardens that are planted here, because they have this, you know, wonderful occasion when they greet him every day in the morning when he takes a morning walk. Well, I also used to, you know, chanced upon myself to meet him, greet him during those when he was walking. But then later on, looking at the love and affection with which he was treating and nurturing the nature, I thought that, you know, let me change my track and let me also change my time. But then maybe when you come back, sir, to your morning walks, you'll again keep seeing me. At least I'll have an occasion to meet you, sir. Okay. Well, I have this onerous task of introducing someone who has built this world, as I said earlier. Okay. And when you look around in the campus, you see monuments of science built by him. And of course, the staff of IICT past and present know him. And hopefully, when the story of IICT is written, maybe about 100 years from now, people will always remember the contributions of Dr. Rama Rao. Okay. Now, apart from his contributions in science, where he has over 250 publications, more than 100 PhDs, and of course Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan, he is a role model to all scientists who want to become entrepreneurs. Okay. And hopefully, you know, someone who's retiring and aspiring to be an entrepreneur like myself, maybe I'll look at you, Dr. Rama Rao Garu. Okay. And today's AV Rama Rao Labs and AV Rama Rao Foundation, I'm told, is a 100 crore company. Okay. Now, Dr. Rama Rao is also revered for his leadership skills. The anti-HIV drug developed by him is very well acknowledged today and very well proudly recalled today, especially in the difficult situations like the COVID pandemic. So maybe people keep thinking that had Rama Rao been here at IICT, there was a new drug that would have come. So we have fulfilled your dreams, sir, and very fortunately the drug developed here sometime back is now in market. Again, thanks to the network that you had with CIPLA, CIPLA has again launched it, and I'm very happy to say that this has received the Best Technology Award for this year from CSIR. Now, the story of anti-HIV drug is not complete unless you try to recall the struggle that that happened and the perseverance that went into it to launch it. Okay. Sometime back, when an interviewer was interviewing Dr. Rama Rao Garu, and he was asked, how is it that Mr. Hamid was able to launch HIV? And in his own inimicable way, do you know what he said? He said, I forced it on him, and literally so. Okay. But then that was not the end of the story. There was another hurdle. The drug controller was sitting on the file for clearances. Okay. So then again, Dr. Hamid approached Dr. Rama Rao, and then the real lion and Dr. Rama Rao rose, called up the drug controller, and then he roared. Okay. If you're not going to clear the file in 24 hours, I'll convene the biggest press conference ever convened, and then I'll declare that it is the drug controller who's holding or blocking the drug for HIV. Once that threat was made by him, within the next day, the things were cleared. Okay. So that's what is Dr. Rama Rao for you. The other introduction, his biography and others are already given in the invitation letter. So I will not venture into talking about those things because many of you already know about it. And I also don't want to stay between you and him. So with this, I conclude my little introduction with Dr. Rama Rao. Thank you, Dr. Rama Rao, sir. And thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Sir, over to you for your address, sir. Sir, you need to unmute your mic, sir.
Okay?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Yeah.
Okay, good. Somebody has done that. Okay, good. Let me first thank Dr. Chandrasekhar and his colleagues for requesting me to deliver this 79th CSIR Foundation Day lecture. And before I proceed, I would also like to join others in congratulating Dr. Chandrasekhar for getting the Technology Award. It's a news to me because the first time I heard from Yadav. Of course, I know about the Rama Rao chair, which has been awarded by CSIR. Although the Avra Laboratories created 3, only 2 were given. That means the state of affairs, we can't find the third one, proper person. Chandra, thank you for accepting all these things. And I wish you the very best before I start my lecture.
Thank you, sir.
Good. I was wondering, for the last 3 days, what I should talk about. First, I thought about chemical industry, plus and minus points. What is that IICT can contribute? Then I thought I should focus on pharmaceutical because chemicals are too big an area. Then that also I thought there was not much of it what we can talk about the CSIR and other things. So finally, I decided last evening, the title I was decided transformation of Regional Research Laboratory, Hyderabad, to a well-respected International Institute of Chemical Technology, that is IICT. I changed the Indian to international, that is the way it is moving. Now, looking back, the CSIR was actually came into existence, what Chandra also mentioned, because of the two persons' effort. One is Arcot Ramaswamy Mudaliar and the Shanteshwari Bhatnagar. These two people were responsible for the formation of CSIR, which came into existence on this day in 1942. And S.S. Bhatnagar was appointed as the first director. There was nothing like a laboratory at that time. They have occupied a part of chemistry lab in the Delhi University. Then in 1948, CSIR formally, the governing body, announced to go ahead with 5 laboratories. That is the NCL, NPL, National Metallurgical Laboratory, the what we call is the ceramic, glass and ceramic laboratory in Calcutta, and Fuel Research Center. These were the ones and sanctioned about ₹1 crore. I don't know whether you people are knowing or not. To that, 20 lakhs were given by the Tatas to buy land for the NCL in Pune. Now, with these things, 1.2 lakh crores, the laboratories grown from then to 38, and CSIR become a major organization in the world as far as the government organization, having several scientists and other people. Now, let me, at the same time, the Nizam of Hyderabad realized the need for having an industrial laboratory, and then thought about, in the lines of the CSIR, he announced the formation of Central Laboratories for Scientific and Industrial Research in 1944. That is on the 5th of August, one day later than others' birthdays. Now, that is the way what is called the CSIR came into existence. And Professor Qureshi was the first director, and it was actually put on the campus of Osmania University as a part of the chemical technology lab. Then naturally, after the independence, then Hyderabad merged with the Indian Union, the state and the part of the AP, which was later divided from Madras. It became Andhra Pradesh. And that time, the government of AP realized it was not the job of the state government to they run the laboratory. So they requested the Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Prime Minister, to take over the central laboratories as a part of the CSIR. Nehru was very happy, and by that time, Dr. Zahir Hussain was actually taken over in 1948 as the director. Nehru personally knows Zahir because they were close family friends, I was told, in Allahabad. And Zahir wanted a new laboratory. It was built immediately, and that is the present existing RRL. Nehru himself opened the laboratories and told Zahir that it should remain as a regional research laboratory because it came out of the region and also should look into the regional interests and exploit whatever the natural resources available within the states. And Zahir was very happy, and that's why the entire program of RRL was actually looked into in that aspect. The coal, we have the coal mines, that's why coal was taken in a big way, because the Indian coals contain about 40% ashes. So he wanted to initiate the gasification so that there will not be a nuisance of fly ash. And that was the major program, and he brought Vaidishwaran to head that department. Then later, he himself as a chemist, before he even moved into the new lab, in 1951, Zahir was thinking like a medicinal chemist, making several compounds, and then screening at that time was the anti-malarials. And one of the compound was not discovered here. That means for its activity, although he was responsible for synthesizing and published in the Indian Chemical Society in 1951. This molecule was picked up by Russell in France, and they found it one of the fantastic drugs, like a sedative as well as the muscle relaxants. And they introduced in the world over in 1965. In no time, youngsters, most of them found it is a recreational drug and a mood elevator. So its sales went up tremendously, not for the proper use, for the most misuse. And subsequently, they found the drug is also an addictive. And slowly, each government went on about banning the compound from the market. Ultimately, the United States in 1985 banned, and for that way, the whole thing has come. But still, if you look at it, the drugs which came out from India, you will find methacrone was first synthesized. And the first drug came from the CSIR. So that was the way they started RRL with the chemistry, chemical engineering, oils and fats, other divisions besides coal. And also, he also started a paper, small unit to make the paper. Now, Dr. Zahir himself was interested in building more for as a technology institute. And few of the items, I will not go into more in details, came out with the technology, but unfortunately, some of them, although they were released to industry for almost like a zero value, because the Zahir was keen to give the industry to exploit, but none of them have taken off. Zahir moved in 1964 as a DG, the first one from among the CSR labs to become a DG. And then Dr. Sidhu succeeded him, who was actually within the system. He was heading the organic chemistry, and he took over as the director of RRL. Dr. Sidhu was also followed more or less the trend set by Zahir, that is both giving importance to technology, not for fundamental research. But at the same time, in 1972, Government of India, or for that matter, Madam Gandhi, they revised the patent laws and then allowed the patents to abolish product patents and then only the process patent. Sidhu took the initiative to go for agrochemical because the food is very important. So the only one thing is already the green revolution has come in the country, so he needs agrochemicals that are being imported. Some of those at that time were organophosphorus compounds. And the monochlorophos was the dominating at that time. And Dr. Sidhu picked up these monochlorophos and related three of them. All are organophosphorus insecticides. And he actually formulated in such a way the technology should be given as a package. Because the pesticides, unlike drugs, you need tonnage items. Anywhere between 100 tons to 500 tons, the plant has to be there. So he actually invited one Murthy, Dr. Murthy from the IIT Bombay to take over as a chemical engineer and then look into the process development for these things. Murthy not only looked into the process development, he also created an engineering department for design. And then he put the Parlekar in charge. And Asad Ali Khan was actually looking next to him. At that time, Bale Rao was assigned the job of carrying out in the laboratory and taking to the pilot plant as an organic chemistry head. And the three-member team, Bale Rao, along with Murthy, Asad Ali Khan from chemical engineering, and Parlekar, did a wonderful job on the pilot plant and giving the entire package where the technology was transferred as something which you can adopt without any doubts. But no doubt that is the way the first time a good, the laboratory was identified as a technology developer. And then Dr. Sidhu was retired in 1981, the 80s. Dr. Tyagarajan at that time, who was actually formerly heading the organic chemistry, moved to Jorhat lab as our director, was brought back as the director of Avra. When he took over, Dr. Tyagarajan, most of the time, he also spent only on the same organophosphorus compounds. And he also looked into Ranbakshi's sponsored project on diazepam. No doubt, when they transferred the project to diazepam to the Ranbakshi, by that time, myself being at NCL, first time we came out, a very simple way of manufacturing diazepam, a new approach totally, was given to Cipla. And that became exploited for first time, and Ranbakshi were very unhappy about the way the technology was done, copying what was the Roche given. So it never took off that way. But also till Dr. Tyagarajan's time, what was one thing was missing was the fundamental research. In fact, nobody other than in India knows about the existence of RRL among the international schools of chemistry. In fact, most of them used to tell me there was something like RRL was exist at all, because the reason was very few papers were published that you can count on fingers, and most of them are wailing away time, and the directors were too good. I can tell you, when you say somebody, if you say bad director, I don't know what it means by bad. If you say good, I can tell you, he will not take any action on anybody. That is the way a good director will run the laboratory. So till Tyagarajan time, all the three were easygoing, never punished anybody, allowed the unions to flourish. There was at that time a scientific workers union as well as the non-scientific staff union, very, very strong. Without their consent, you can't move further. During this time, I will not go too much into the history, but I can tell one thing. Dr. Tyagarajan was shifted without his knowledge to as a director of CLRI for reasons known to CSIR. He has no option but to accept it and moved in 1984. So there was a vacancy for the directorship and it was advertised. Some people asked,
Please unmute your speaker. We are not able to hear. Unmute, please.
Rama, sir, your speaker is in mute. Please unmute it.
muting.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the Tyagarajan was moved, could I told that time at that extent? Was moved to CLRI. Okay, that means please let me know in case it is on its own, it has gone. I don't know how it has happened. Can you hear me properly now? Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Very good. If any time it comes, please let me know. I will stop and correct it. Dr. Tyagarajan was moved to CLRI in 1984 and the post of the director of the RRL Hyderabad was advertised. Some people asked me, they would like to nominate me for the post of the director. I said no. The reason was I was knowing very.
Sir, again it got mute. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody meddling. It is not me. Okay.
I think, Radha, can you take control of the mic?
Now, is it all right?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. I was not interested in applying to IICT. I told thanks to everybody whoever wanted me to nominate. But it so happened the selection committee, the chairman of the MM Sharma, when they first looked at the applications, they were very keen, Professor Sharma was very keen to invite me for the what we call as the director selection was called the discussion meeting. So he sent a word through the DG at that time, Dr. Varadarajan, S. Varadarajan, to the Dr. Doraiswamy that I should send an application for the director's post. Dr. Doraiswamy asked me, are you serious? Would you like to go? I said no. Even Dr. Doraiswamy also discouraged me, stating that it is not a good lab. It is not a good place for you to move from NCL. So I've accepted. And then we kept quiet. In the next day, immediately, once again, a message came from the DG to the director stating that the chairman is very keen that Dr. Rama Rao should be deputed and should appear before the discussion meeting of the committees next few days. So I have no option, I appeared. And it so happened, out of the 7 members, 6 members apparently supported. 1 member, along with the DG, went against me. Professor Sharma tried to impress on them, but somehow DG was very keen to have another member, another person. So finally, because they can't go against the DG's wishes, they put the 2 names equally and then left this final selection to the Director General Varadarajan. And also the word came around stating I had not been selected, Varadarajan favored him. So that is the way I also did not bother, because neither I was very keen about to move to Hyderabad. But on 30th June 1985, Dr. Doraiswamy came to NCL around 6 o'clock. I was talking to him. He got a call from the DG stating that the Prime Minister, that time Rajiv Gandhi, approved the name of Dr. Rama Rao, and he can just go prepared to go and join the RRL. It was a big surprise for me as well as to Dr. Doraiswamy. Even then, Dr. Doraiswamy impressed on me not to move. I should say no to that. So I was, while debating about this thing, a friend of mine, Paul Ratnaswamy, who was heading the catalysis group, impressed on me that I'm the right person to move, and whatever a sleeping lab, you can make it a working lab. So he encouraged me to take over. He further told me, if something is bad, there is something for you to revive. Put it on the wheels. And an opportunity, Rama Rao, for you to move. And I said yes at that time, went and told my wife, we will be going to Hyderabad. She was not very keen. She also was not interested in coming to Hyderabad. She asked me why all of a sudden you changed. I said, in the next 5 years, if I don't change the culture of RRL, I will resign. She said, you should stand by this word. I said, yes. What you will do in that? I didn't know what to do if you resign. You know, unexpectedly word came, I'll become an entrepreneur because I have confidence in myself. This was the first time I used the 2 things, that is resigning from my job as well as become an entrepreneur. Anyway, I took over on 15th July 1985. And that time, Tyagarajan was, although he was acting director, he was in CLRI, the next senior most scientist, when Dr. Saxena handed over me the papers. And that very evening, I realized within the same day, there is no work culture in the lab. That my first job to create work culture. People come and go at any time. Nobody works seriously. In fact, I went around the entire lab looking at everybody, but unfortunately, I couldn't find anybody seriously working on any project or, for that matter, fundamental. Only one person who came from abroad and joined as scientist B. He was the only guy not inbreeding in that lab. He is Ganesh Pandey. He was working on photochemistry, but he was not allowed to do an independent research. First thing I told him to start his own way and don't depend on the boss. Because the culture was at that time, whoever is heading that group, you have to listen to. So the senior most man resisted, but then I told Pandey, to take on your own, you go ahead and whatever the instruments you want, give me the list. Is it all right? Hello?
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Video is on.
Shobha Garu,
No, can you hear me?
Shobha Garu, can you switch off your video, please?
Look like there is a technical problem with the Rama Rao sir's computer, maybe.
I don't know whether my problem or is
I think,
somebody.
sir, your internet is coming on and off, sir, I think.
Can you see me now? Is it all right?
No, we can't see you.
Oh,
We
can you hear me?
Yes.
Look like there is internet problem on his computer, maybe. Radha, can you check once?
I think something is happening somewhere.
So I think there is a bandwidth problem, I think, sir.
We can hear you, but your video is not.
Sir, maybe you can put off the camera and speak, sir, maybe.
Okay. Turn on camera. Sajja, there is some problem. Can you send him? Yeah, no.
Chandrasekhar, maybe I think before sir gets his problem fixed,
Yeah.
Could we go to the next item and then we will come back to sir when he joins back?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
No, he can speak. If the video is not coming, his voice can be heard, no? Chandrasekhar.
No, but I think that sir most probably is trying to call someone to fix his computer maybe.
Okay.
He's coming on and off, I don't know.
It has come now.
Okay.
I can see. But his audio is
Sir,
still
your
on.
mic is mute, sir. Yeah. Now it's okay. Yeah.
Huh?
Now okay, sir. Yeah, now okay.
I think one of you can see this.
Yeah, no problem. Understand, sir. No.
Okay. Is it all right now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
It's not.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Hello?
Yes, sir. You can continue, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. So my main problem is to bring work culture. The other thing I found is there are not many spots in the organization. So first thing is I requested three of my colleagues from NCL, Dr. J.S. Yadav, who was a scientist, and Dr. Gurjar, who was working with me on most of the projects, and Dr. Deshmukh, who got his PhD, was looking after the CIPLA projects. I requested them to come and join RRL and given them everybody a promotion. Dr. Yadav joined as E, Gurjar as a C, and Deshmukh as a B. He was a first-time PhD joined. Now, with these three people, we first thought there is some sort of a small nucleus can form, but unfortunately, there was not even one single room available for the people to join. I actually occupied wherever there was a pilot plants or a godowns, converted to lab, and started working. The two of them, one is Ashok Bandari and the other one is Chandrasekhar Shiwari, approached me immediately after my taking. They got their CSIR JRF, wanted to join my group as a PhD students. But I told them I don't have any place for them to make them work. I asked them if they are interested in still joining. They can go and sit in the library for the next 6 months. Then only they will be placed in the laboratories. Now that is the way the lab was started. And then there was a total indiscipline. One of the president of the union, Scientific Workers Union, I had to remove, and subsequently the other guy. Slowly during my 10 years, I might have removed or asked them to give a compulsory resignation or the voluntary retirement they have taken. 29 of them have to go from the lab. So, but this way I have become one of the bad directors. But anyway, our group from NCL moved in, and with the other Gurjar, a lot of money poured in from industry, and we built what we call a bioorganic chemistry new laboratory in 1.5 years' time. But the money, because there was at that time ban on construction from CSIR, Government of India. But this was the money brought from the industry, and I utilized them for the good cause. But unfortunately, the audit did not find proper for using the money from private industry. And they raised several objections. And the DG called me, AP Mitra at that time, and they asked me, I have done the biggest blunder, that I'm not supposed to do that. I said, I have done in the interest of the laboratory, and then you do whatever you want. He said, you may have to leave the lab. That was such a serious offense. I said, if that is the case, I'm also willing to resign. Then the Joint Secretary told, let us leave it at this stage. Let the take its own course in the audits. And the audit, it went smoothly because I told them This is the money I earn. There was nothing wrong utilizing, although it belongs to the industry. And then the DG at that time corrected the whole thing as a external cash flow. The word external cash flow started from then onwards. The Abid Hussain committee was appointed. It was they who actually formalized that each lab should earn around 30%. And also, when they asked me, I told there is nothing regional about the research or the technology or science. You should change the name to the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. That is the way the laboratory name was also changed effective from 1st April 1989. Then the lab actually moved quite a bit. The fundamental research was of a highest order. We took it some of the chiral compounds, and the technology-wise, with not only the CIPLA, will not go into several people they know very well, and also we are the first time given the chiral technology for a drug called timolol maleate. From a natural source, we made it the side chain S-timolol maleate, and then commercialized by the first time in India by Fair Deal Corporation. Then you all know about the last one before I left, how AZT came into picture, and by that, from there, how CIPLA has taken over the other anti-AIDS compounds, saving several millions of people, especially from Africa. Now, I'll just cut short my thing. Only thing is I would like to mention, I became known very well nationally and internationally. For example, I served 3 international committees. As a scientific advisor, I was the only chemist in the WHO, and also the IUPAC at the medicinal chemistry as a titular member 3 years. Then finally, United Nations Environment, because we have initiated first time when the Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao came from Japan, Tokyo, Kyoto Agreement, and he wanted to phase out the aerosols. That means all the CFCs. So that means we have to work only on the HFC 13048. And that was the one which we don't have any much of a knowing fluorochemistry. A fluorination lab was started. And then we moved ahead with a catalysis and organic chemistry working together. And a pilot plant was set up for which I raised about 3 crores from the industry during that period itself. The another major technology was cyanuric chloride. A continuous plant was built with a 50 lakh coming from the Arctic. And it is actually involving hydrogen cyanide making to this cyanogen chloride, which is highly toxic, and going to a continuous and a catalytic making. We made about 5 kilos per hour continuous plants. And that was the one which actually the industry, I think, was very much involved along with us. One thing I realized, if you want to put up a big plant, you have to take into confidence the industry people and work together, then only it will be successful. If we give on our own, however good we are, we as a scientist or technologists working in the government laboratories, we know many things, we don't know much more. So that is the way the fundamentals we may know, but we don't know practicality, how to work. That is the way I brought industry always together, and they made it successful. Then I retired in 30th April. Before I retired, the Golden Jubilee year for the IICT, that was on 1st of April 1995. I requested the Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao to come. He accepted, he came, inaugurated 3 buildings. What I thought is, the technology is not anymore a charm. We should go into discovery. That's why I built what we call the Discovery Laboratory, as well as the Natural Products and Catalysis 3 buildings, which he inaugurated on 1st of April 1995 in presence of N.T. Rama Rao, who was the Chief Minister, and also the Governor of Andhra Pradesh. So that is the way the lab made a name and fame. And then for 6 months, they couldn't find Dr. And he tried his level best to bring some organic chemist. But unfortunately, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If something is, if you please let me know immediately. He couldn't find a good organic chemist, nor anybody suitable, but somehow he was not impressed with Bala Rao, who was the director grade scientist. He made up his mind that Bala Rao was not the right person. So he dragged on for 6 months, and ultimately he felt that Dr. Raghavan, who was the director of CLRI, should be brought here purely to run the administration so that the lab can go on its own. And Raghavan took over sometime in January 96. And there was not much of change. The reason was Dr. Avra was already heading the organic chemistry. He was able to attract many JRFs. In fact, during his time, not much of industrial research, Raghavan time, although he was a chemical engineer, no project has moved, nor he did any fundamental research, although he's a chemical engineer. In fact, Asad Ali Khan and Parlikar retired, and those two divisions were also became non-existent. But then, after Raghavan, Dr. Yadav took over in, I think, 2003. Dr. Yadav took over, and then he actually was more and more interested in fundamental research. And also, of course, one of the projects, favorite pet project, was on pheromones, which he started working from NCL days and established very well good pheromone laboratory to take it to the right from the isolation, identification, and synthesis. That was his main industrial research, having a lot of fundamental research involved in it. He attracted several research fellows, and at one time I heard there were 600 during Yadav's time, 600 JRFs working in the laboratory. So it flourished. One of his colleagues who got his PhD, Subba Reddy, became a magic man for publishing papers. The quality of papers nobody can deny because nobody said that is anything wrong. He published more than 600 papers in journals like Pet Letters and all. And the number of papers went up, and also the number of students. Dr. Yadav's major contribution is everybody came to know about IICT world over, because anytime you open Pet Letters journal, you will find IICT and Yadav's name. And also the number of papers he published, I think more than 1,000 or close to 1,000. And also the close to 200, he has beaten me thorough in the number of students who took the PhD during his time. Now that is the way everybody started working and publishing papers during Yadav's tenure. Then when he retired in 2013, the internal candidate, Lakshmi Kantam, has taken over in the April 2013 as the director. She has one credential. She was the first woman director in the CSR system. And everybody is very much pleased with her. And she is basically a catalysis person. And during my time, she and B.M. Chaudhary established very well and continued both of them working on catalysis and some of the projects. Her major contribution is for hydrogen hydrate from ammonia. She started working and also transferred to the industry. Unfortunately, her tenure was only 2 years, and she left and joined the ICT in Bombay as a distinguished or the professor in the chemical engineering department, heading the catalysis group. Now, immediately after that, the young man got the opportunity, the Chandrasekhar. He actually, without any problem, he walked in as a director and taken over in June 2015. Chandrasekhar is a very charming. Ever since he joined my group, he is always laughing. He never says no. He is very helpful, out of the way he goes helping people. And when it comes to work, he enjoys work. At the same time I see him, he also spends reasonable time with the family, going out for dinners, movies. So this is one thing Chandrasekhar is unique, working as well as taking care of several things. And then Chandrasekhar revived the interest with the industries. And then the first one we jointly with Yadav and Chandrasekhar, myself also, Indo-French, we started working in a collaboration. And luckily, the laboratory process was completed. We took it up, scaled up, and commercialized last few years. Every year we earn around 5 crores out of that income. And then no doubt now today you have seen the COVID drug, favipiravir he has done. And one thing I also admired, he has worked on the TB resistant drug, bedaquiline. Beautiful work he did. But I have my own doubts whether it can be economically beneficial because he has used some of the reactions which are difficult on scale up. But it is a wonderful beginning to go for bedaquiline based on his work which has already been published, known also. Now the laboratory maintaining, striking a balance between the fundamental research as well as industrial research. Many projects he is initiating with industry, and also he is able to attract new people to join. But what is missing is I attracted several new people, right from A.C. Kunwar, T.K. Chakravarti, A.K. Singh, Vairamani took over. Then my own students who are very good, who came after spending 2 years minimum postdoc, including Chandrasekhar, right from the G.V.M. Sharma, B.V. Rao, Bose, and Shankaram, all of them. I told always the selection committee to be tough with these candidates because they were my former students. Unless they are really good, you should not select, so that they should know that their guide did not help them. They have in their own right, they got selected. That is the way everybody entered, including, although Chandrasekhar came first and then became regularized during the Raghavan's time. Now the other thing is, one of the things is the fluorochemicals. I mentioned to them, now what should I do now? What advice I should give in the next 10 minutes? One thing is very clear to me, you need to induct new blood. Most of them whom I brought were already retired or moved out. For example, Ganesh Pandey went as the head of the organic to NCL, followed by Gurjar. Deshmukh also went to NCL after my retirement. Then Ganesh Pandey became the director of the medical research, the biomedical research at Sanjay Gandhi Medical College at Lucknow. Gurjar has taken over as the directorship in industry. Chakravarti, T.K. Chakravarti was selected as the director of CDRI. So like that, most of them are prospered from the laboratory. No doubt, you have the Narahar Sastri who got the Bhatnagar Award. He's also moved as the director of the Jorhat Laboratories. There is a bit of a vacuum when it comes to youngsters and new blood. My advice to Chandrasekhar, he should bring some talented people from outside and fill the gap. Otherwise, after you, the lab will have a total blank. The second thing is, when it comes to the fundamental research, the synthesis of a biological active compound, what we call so-called, is become a more of a technique because the reagents are available, reactions are all well known. Unless we come out new reaction, which is a difficult thing, it has become a more machine making like that. We are like a stitching, you have the brakes, motor and other. So you have to think of a biology a portion. Something like enzymatic reactions, you have to look at it. That is the way you have to move biology and chemistry, you have to march and look for the future. Now coming to the industrial research, nobody is working on electronic chemicals. These are very expensive, although we do some amount of work for the Samsung through the United States. Some of the, but they are minimum $5,000 to $30,000 to $40,000 a kilo. All types of latest reactions are involved in them. And further, their purity is 99.95 they need. It's a very tough chemistry, as well as purifying is a big art. So some of these areas you people have to look. When it comes to the pesticide, we should not give up, because pheromones already we started. I think that has to be taken to the field in a major way. The second thing is you have to see the new molecules whose patents are expiring in the next 5 years, and initiate the work so that you can just add on at the generics. Now coming to the latest ones on the drug side, there are ample number of anti-cancer compounds whose patents are expiring. But if you see, some of them are biosimilars. So we have to initiate some work on fermentation and also biology if you want to enter the new area in the pharmaceutical. Biosimilars, many of them are off patent, but not much being exploited in India. Like a generics, what we exploited in the country, which actually 13% of the generics are produced in India. And while if you look at it, the value of the drugs, what we export is only 3%, but volume-wise 13%. So we have to look into biosimilars and also some of the dyes. These are all dyes on electronic chemicals. And then certainly we should not give up some new areas in the pesticides. With these things, I would like to leave it, and I would like to wish Chandrasekhar, the entire staff of IICT, a great future under his direction. Thank you very much. Hello?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your valuable message.
I covered all IICT story. Hello?
Sir? Okay, I think there's a problem on the echo, sir. I think some problem was coming on the echo. But thank you so much, sir, for your journey of CSIR initially when Mudaliar and Bhatnagar built CSIR, then you have connected us to RRL and IICT. And we are also told in one of the CSIR books that Dr. Baiki Hamid's father was one of the early persons who went on to propose that CSIR should be made. And he has also given a part donation for having these activities, which was recorded in one of our books, and today DG CSIR mentioned in one of the books. I also would like to thank you, sir, that you have been very generous to CSIR. After you became entrepreneur, you were the first one to sponsor chairs on CSIR, named CSIR Avra chairs. And thank you that your gesture will go a long way. And I'm sure that your inspiration now with this letter, we will go to multiple industries and to see how we can motivate scientists by selecting them for chair professors, but the responsibility that they work mostly on technology transfers. And I'm sure that culture will build very soon under the leadership of Dr. Shekhar Mande. And also the new areas you mentioned about, CSIR is looking at very seriously, especially the electronic chemicals, biosimilars and all that. And certainly we will take your guidance in taking these areas forward. Thank you so much, sir, again for giving us a wonderful message on the Foundation Day. And while we cannot felicitate you with a memento or a shawl on a television, but certainly the plantation we have done, I think, will grow, and that tree will give shelter to many chemists. So with these words, again, thank you, sir. I request Chandrasekhar to take over now.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. The next item is on CSR Foundation Day. CSIR-IICT felicitates the staff who completed 25 years of CSIR service memento, and those retired on superannuation in the preceding year with a memento and shawl. This year we have 28 staff members who retired on superannuation and 4 staff members who completed 25-year service. Further, lots of staff who secured above 90 marks in all 3 science subjects or 100% in any one of the subjects in 10+2 are also awarded with cash prize and certificate. We have 4 awards in these 2 categories. This year, none of the awards, we did not get any information that any of the awards got admission in any of the IITs or any reputed institutes. And as this event is happening online, the mementos, shawls or certificates will be handed over to them later at DKIM office. Now I'm going to share
Hello.
Welcome to 79th CSIR Foundation Day celebrations once again. This is the sapling planted in the honor of our chief guest, Dr. A.V. Rama Rao Garu. The retirees during last September 2019 to August 2020 include Sri G. Ranga Rao Garu, Srimati Shobha Rajendra Pathak, Dr. R.S. Prakasham, Dr. S. Raghavan, Dr. B. David Raju, Mrs. Shesha Lakshmi, Mr. G. Nandagopalan, Mr. P. L. Prasad, Mr. C. K. Narsingh Rao, Mr. P. Sangit Rao, Dr. K. Bhanu Prakash, Dr. M. Radhakrishna, Dr. B. Venkateshwar Rao, Dr. G. Y. S. Kumar Swami, Mrs. K. Venkatalakshmi, Mr. L. Venkatesh, Mr. Atul Nandedkar, Mrs. H.S. Shashikala, Mr. R. Shankar, Mr. N. Narsingh Rao, Mrs. C.S. Geeta, Mr. A. Madhav Rao, Mr. P. Ramesh, Mrs. S. Prabhavati, Mr. N. Yadagiri, Dr. B.V.S.K. Rao, Mr. K.V. Venkateshwar Rao, Dr. Y.V.L. Ravikumar, and the colleagues who have completed 25 years of continuous service in CSIR include Mr. C. Nataraju, Mrs. T. Manoja Prasad, Mr. Vijay Kumar Mehto, Mr. N. Sacharana. Further, the CSR Studentship Awards goes to 3 of the awards. Mr. Shivendra Siddhanath Bhosle, son of Sri Siddhanath Bhosle, who got about 96 overall percentage in mathematics, physics and chemistry, and Mr. Debansh Mahapatra, son of Dr. Debendra Kumar Mahapatra, who secured 94% of the marks, and Mr. Vedash Akash, son of Mrs. V. Jaishirani, who secured 94% of marks in mathematics, physics, chemistry. And G. Vaishnavi, Miss G. Vaishnavi Sai Prasanna, daughter of Sri G. Veeraya, obtained 100% marks in physics. So she will get 2,000 rupees cash and certificate. Later, all the awards parents will receive the cash and also certificate later from Kim department. Thank you all.
Yeah, on behalf of the entire IICT family, I would like to thank all the colleagues who have superannuated in the last 1 year. I only wish that they're all doing well under this testing times and they're able to manage well with their family and they're all safe and healthy. I also would like to congratulate all the young boys and girls who have scored more than 90% marks in their science subjects and they have been rewarded, which has been a tradition of CSIR. I wish that those parents will get inspiration from the activities of CSIR-IICT and they will take science as their profession and come to IICT and hopefully they will take up leadership roles and make technologies and work on translational work. I wish all those young boys and girls all the best and God bless all of them with all the happiness. Also would like to congratulate all the colleagues who have made 25 years of service to IICT uninterrupted, which is not an easy job actually. And incidentally, I completed my 25 years last year, and I was honored with a watch last year and a shawl. So I think this is a long time to be spending in one institute. Flawless. I think congratulations to all those 4 colleagues also. I think we have, as I told in the opening remarks, any event which is not in person, I think will not give that excitement of meeting and greeting people. I think this COVID has taught us to learn artificially on this computer, but hopefully we'll come out of these problems. Certainly, I also would like to place on record the excellent work done by teams representing Fevipirave, young students, and of course the young scientists who worked with me on this project. We were able to complete this project in 40 days. Incidentally, it is like the whole cycle was complete, as Dr. Rama Rao was mentioning, and also Satyanarayana was informing that AZT was one of the drugs initially when the pandemic of HIV was there in the world. Again, Dr. Rama Rao played a very important role. While we gave a bench scale process to CIPLA, parallelly Dr. Rama Rao also developed a process, and he has given the first validation batches to CIPLA to make the tablets which will go for trials, and later they went into market. This is the first drug, hopefully, I understand that CIPLA was courteous to display CSIR-IICT logo on all the batches which they produce in their Patalganga factory, that every bottle of Ciplenza will have CSIR-IICT logo. This is one of the finest recognitions which IICT has got. I'm sure Ciplenza also will be used for other problems like other influenzas, and hopefully this product will continue in the market even after this COVID pandemic is gone. With these few remarks, I would like to thank again all of you for joining on this call. I request Chandrasekhar to take it forward. Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Thank you, sir. Now it's my great privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion of 79th CSIR Foundation Day celebrations. At the outset, on behalf of Director and staff of the Institute, I profusely thank Padma Bhushan Dr. A.V. Rama Rao Garu, former Director of IICT and founder Avra Labs, for gracing the occasion as a chief guest and also for delivering Foundation Day address. I thank all the staff who completed 25 years of CSIR service and retired on superannuation during the September 2019 to August 2020, and parents of the Studentship Awards for joining the event. I also thank all the members of CSIR family, including directors, former directors, heads of labs, former staff members, students who all are witnessing the live event on various social media platforms. I thank Mr. Radhakrishna and his team and other support staff of IICT responsible for making this live event happen with a grand success. Finally, I thank one and all and request you to join for recitation of Jatiya Geetam, please.
Thanks, Chandra. Thank you very much.